going to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, number 2, open public forum. Anybody wishing to speak? Otherwise, we'll move on. Approval of the agenda. I need a motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Jamie makes a motion.
I'll second.
Shannon seconds it. Any discussion on the agenda? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Minutes. Recommendation to approve the minutes of the April 11th, 2017 City Council meeting as presented. B, approval of the sale of a 2011 Impala squad car. Recommendation to approve the sale of the 2011 Impala VIN number 2G1WD5EM9B1124520 to Joe's Auto Wrecking for $250. C, approval of annual liquor license. Recommendation to approve the following 2017 licenses: on sale intoxicating liquor license for the Sidebar, Great Blue Heron, Grumpy's, Winners Sports Bar and Grill, River Oaks Club on sale liquor license for the American Legion subsidiary off sale intoxicating liquor license for the Sidebar, Great Blue Heron, Grumpy's, and Winners Sports Bar and Grill. Freestanding off sale intoxicating liquor license for Teal's Liquor and Keith's Liquor. Sunday liquor license for the Sidebar, Great Blue Heron, Grumpy's, Winners Sports Bar and Grill, American Legion, River Oaks, Cold Spring Brewing Company, Cold Spring Lanes, and Marnatelli's. On sale Brewers Tap Room license for the Cold Spring Brewing Company. Microbrewer off sale malt liquor license for Cold Spring Brewing Company. 2 a.m. license for the Sidebar and Winners Bar and Grill. Wine license for Cold Spring Bowling Lanes and Marnatelli's. On sale 3-2 liquor license for Cold Spring Lanes, Marnatelli's, and Cold Spring Amateur Baseball. Off sale 3-2 liquor license for Super America and Bottle Club liquor license for Cold Spring Lanes. Finally, to approve the 2017 tobacco license for Grumpy's, Teal's Liquor, Teal's Market, Keith's Brothers Incorporated, Keith's Liquor Incorporated, Super America, and Holiday. I need a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Doug seconds it. Any discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Number 5, approve the amended lift station agreement with Bridge Properties. Should I read the recommendation right away and then we'll go on from there?
Sure.
Recommendation to approve the amended and restated lift station operation and maintenance agreement originally entered into with John and Dolores Miley, Daniel Sapaniak, Tom and Judith Sitars, and Roger Storms, originally recorded March 31st, 2005. Okay. Since nobody's here, do we have somebody that knows anything about Jamie?
Sure, I can give you a little brief on it. So,
Yeah,
the discussion went basically that, and I think it was just a lack of an understanding, a lack of communication. We just didn't ask the right questions. My understanding was there was never it was never their ill doing to not pay for the repairs. They just didn't want to be responsible for actually maintaining it and monitoring it because they didn't know anything about it. So basically the agreement that we came to with them was that we will maintain it, we will repair it, we will make sure it's up and running, we will condition it as needed, do preventive maintenance as needed. In turn, we bill each of them a quarter of whatever it cost us. In addition, we're also turning the electricity to us so that we don't have to worry about if somebody doesn't pay the electric bill. That now it's going to be on us to make sure that the electricity continues to.
and then they pay for
And
that,
they pay for
right?
And then they'll pay for that, yeah, and we've gone back for all that. So really ours is more of a, like, I would guess in terms of a contractual maintenance agreement on it, where we're responsible for it, but they're responsible for the costs that incurred on that.
They're also responsible to let us know if something's not working because it's not on SCADA
Yeah.
at this
Oh,
point.
okay.
And if it does ever go to the SCADA system, they will pay for the connection, which is about 10,000. Yeah, it's a hefty sum. So right now, their responsibility is to notify us.
And they have the green light, the alarm system, yeah, so.
Yep. Yeah, so anytime the light's going off, they're just gonna notify us.
Does it have the buzzer alarm too?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So. And we wouldn't do anything unless all four of them signed and agreed to it, so, which they have.
Which they have already, okay.
Yep. So,
Then I need a motion for this, right?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Jamie makes a motion to approve, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Shannon seconds it. Is there any discussion on it then? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Okay.
Against? That motion carries. Number 6, improvement agreement with Ray's Construction for city design of North Point Plat 5 improvements. Ray Schreiner, hi, how are you?
I'm just fine.
That's good.
Well, I don't know, what do we need to discuss?
Well, I'll read the recommendation and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Recommendation to approve the improvement agreement with Ray's Construction for design of the improvements necessary to plat the property to meet city standards.
So we met with Mr. Schreiner, Brian and I and Sue Cadlick to go over what the responsibilities are. Due to the fact that he was seeking city design, but he'd like to privately bid, so we wanted to make sure we knew whose responsibility was what. And so we came up with this agreement that he approves
Yeah,
the city entering into, and then Brian, as soon as it's signed, Brian and Stantec will start over the next couple weeks getting the design so that he knows exactly the cost of what he's looking at to develop that final piece of North Point.
yeah, I guess we need to do that so we can figure out exactly where we're going.
At this point, we're doing essentially a feasibility report to kind of come up with a tighter cost estimate so that they can take that and make more decisions.
Yeah, because we have to, hopefully we can come up with better numbers when we're all done with this, because right now they're not very feasible. And Brian more or less guaranteed me that that's gonna happen.
There we go, huh?
So anyhow, that's where we're at, I guess.
All right.
And then we'll wait and see what comes after that.
Is this that undeveloped piece of land in the northwest corner?
The northeast.
Northeast corner.
Is it northeast corner?
Yeah. Yeah, it's roughly 11 acres.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Well, with that, I need a, make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion
I'll second.
and Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on that? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
okay,
There you go.
thank you.
I'll have a copy ready for you in the morning.
Pardon?
I'll have a copy ready for you in the morning.
Thanks for coming, Ray.
You bet.
Number 7, resolution 2017-20, a resolution for modification number 3 to Cold Spring TIF redevelopment district 5-5.
Mayor, City Council members, I'm Tammy Umdahl with Northland Securities. I'm working with the city to assist with both the modification of the TIF district and a review of the applicant's proposal for assistance for the project. Some background and the need for this modification. This modification to the TIF plan is solely relates to the budget. And for those of you who have been here in the past, when you've done modifications, this is TIF District number 5, which was established back in actually 2010. It's been modified twice. In the past, the modifications have required public hearing and there was notification to the county and school district. That was not required this time because the only change if you approve this modification is to move dollars between line items within the total approved budget, which is not changing. So this first action is the consideration of the modification of the TIF district only. The next agenda item, then I will talk about the request for assistance within TIF District 5. With that, I'll answer any questions related to the modification.
You guys got anything?
It's pretty simple.
Yep.
All right. Then I'll read the recommendation so we can make a motion on that, right? Recommendation to adopt resolution 2017-20, a resolution for modification number 3 of the Cold Spring TIF redevelopment district 5-5. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Doug makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it.
Sure.
Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Next one, resolution 2017-21, a resolution approving a contract for private development with MNX Properties LLC. That's for you.
Yeah.
And
Tanner.
Tammy, so you got,
Council, I'll just join Tammy.
yeah.
Okay.
Mayor, members of the council, again, Tammy Umdahl with Northland Securities, and my role in this was to review the request for assistance, and there was a memo that was prepared by Northland, by myself. We call that a due diligence memo. So I'm going to speak to that, and then we'll have the developer answer any specific questions about their project. So an application was received for tax increment financing assistance for a 50-unit senior housing facility. This is within a redevelopment TIF district, so this is different than when you've reviewed potential housing districts where it's affordable. So there's no affordability requirement. This is a redevelopment district, and the request for assistance relates to the extraordinary costs of redeveloping the property, the parcel. The request for assistance was, or the amount that's proposed is $750,000 pay-go assistance, and that would be payable from 95% of the tax increment that the city collects off of this property. If construction commences this year, the first year of tax increment generated from the property would be 2019. And because this is within an existing TIF district, it does not go the full term. It will end in year 2037 or after that amount of the 750 is repaid, whichever comes sooner. As proposed, this would carry, it would be payable with interest, so a pay-go note payable at 4.25%. It is not a general obligation of the city. It is payable solely from the tax increment. If the end of the district comes and not enough increment is generated from the project, that note would be terminated and the agreement would end at that time. The other comment that I would have before I turn it over is I gave a lot of background on the need and the request for assistance. I will just conclude by saying Northland believes that but for this assistance that this project would not go forward. We look at it in several different ways, but most importantly we look at the cap rate with and without assistance, and we believe that the estimated return with assistance is reasonable at approximately 8%. And with that, I will turn it over, and then I would be happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Thank you. So
going into this with full disclosure to all of you, I did my pro forma income statements with and without TIF assistance. I looked at the number of items that would have qualified, and it was about $1.5 million. But going back to the pro forma income statement, I requested the amount I needed to get to the cap rate that I think the appraisal and the lending institutions will say that's a good fair number and that's where you need to be. So that was my approach.
Is there any questions?
I'm okay with it.
Should I read the recommendation then? Recommendation to adopt Resolution 2017-21, a resolution approving a contract for private development with M&X Properties LLC and allowing the mayor and city administrator to negotiate the final terms of the development agreement. Do I hear a motion then?
Make a motion.
Gary makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on this? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr.
Can
Mayor.
I send them to you tomorrow?
You can send them to Lee tomorrow. So Northland will file the modification with the state auditor's office and the Department of Revenue in the county. And then once final terms are reached on the development agreement, that would be executed.
Good. And then Bridget, I'll get with you on a date. We can try to narrow this down to.
Sure.
Okay, good deal.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
All right. Public Works Director, John Stevie and Brian Litchin.
Good evening. So a few things came up that aren't on there that I'll talk about, but first and foremost, Mason Rugemer showed interest that he wants to come back and work for us again this year. He's worked for us for a couple of years right now, which is great because you don't have to train them, they do their thing, So instead of hiring 3 new employees, we're gonna hire 2, and then I'd like to rehire Mason Rugemer, so if you wanna read the recommendation on that.
Recommendation to approve the rehiring of Mason Rugemer as a part-time employee in the Parks Department at $9.50 an hour. Do I hear a motion?
We'll make a motion.
Shannon makes the motion. Second by
I'll second that.
Doug, seconds it. Any discussion on this? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? That motion carries.
For the last few weeks, we kind of had a inkling that the brewery, with the DNR meeting with us and the brewery was going to be at the end of April. Apparently there's some scheduling conflicts between some of the upper DNR employees as well as with Michelle and Jeff, so they ended up locking in a date for June 6th, so that's when we're going to have our quarterly meeting. It's going to be at the brewery at 1 p.m. So we'll be in attendance for that. It should be a good meeting. Should learn a lot on an update on what's going on. Something with the project, we met with XL today, and to clean up kind of the wiring in front of the old Keys building, they had 3-phase power going into their building for the last however many years, and that creates a big transformer on the pole. We talked to Don and Mary Keys, and they do not need 3-phase power anymore, and so now is the time to clean that up. It is going to entail $900 worth of work from Faber Electric to change out the service and the meter box on their building. So it's pretty cheap, to clean up that little area. I don't really know if I need approval on that, but,
It's gonna be from the project money?
well, yeah, the city,
Yeah, then probably
it's $900, so.
a change order for the Faber to increase his bid by $900.
Well, this is separate from,
This is separate from the current one we have on County Road 2.
Oh. It's $900.
Well, we
Probably should have a.
should, just to be sure, we can make a motion on it.
I'll motion to approve.
Gary makes a motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? There you go.
another thing, we ran into the contaminated soils like we knew we were gonna. With that, if you notice on the east end of the project, headed across the bridge, along the Rocori Trail and then around Erkenwater and then to our plant, we have a big pipe running, and that's where we're pumping the dewater, or the contaminated water to the front of the plant. Initially, we thought we were gonna be able to pump it into the sanitary sewer and get it to the plant, but it is about 400 to 500 gallons per minute, and our lift station won't handle that. So we had to run a pipe directly to our plant, to the head of the plant, so it's pumping right into the plant. So we're doing,
A dumb question, but why can't we just dump it back into the river?
because it's contaminated.
Oh, okay.
So we do have some pumps pumping into the river right now that's non-contaminated. But the stuff that was contaminated, we didn't want to pump into there because that would have created a huge problem with the DNR, so.
It's likely a petroleum contamination, so.
Yeah, and it was pretty bad. When they did the boring for the dewatering, I mean, you stood above the hole and you know how you smell gas when you're pumping gas by your car? It was 10 times stronger than that. And so, it was bad, so we got that pumping to the plant. That'll be pumping there until they're done putting sewer and water in and digging deep, so. Probably for a good 20 days, I would say. So, just an update with that. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. City engineer report, Brian Lynch.
Mr. Mayor and Council, we'll start off where John left off. We did run into some soil contamination. There was one spot that we knew about, another spot that we encountered when we were drilling for the dewatering. So we purposefully were watching where they were drilling so we could get ahead of it as much as possible. So we found some. The process for that is we've submitted to the MPCA. What we do is we submit an estimate of, we think it's this much soil and this much pipe that is going to be affected. The pipe that's affected is the water main. We have to use a different water main material and different gaskets so that the potential contamination does not penetrate the pipe or the gasket. So we submit a letter to the MPCA. They have to submit an actual letter. We submit a request, they submit a letter back to us that says we can now start work. If we start work ahead of that, it is not reimbursable. So we're waiting on that. We expect that tomorrow, from tomorrow to Friday. Once we get that back, we've gone and got some prices on some of the activities. Like what we'll do is when we dig, we'll take that bad material out and we'll have an environmental consultant there like we did on County Road 2. They have a machine that they call it a sniffer that determines what the concentration of contamination is. We do some sampling initially to find out what it is, and then they can determine a rough concentration, whether or not we can reuse that soil or we have to haul it off site. We'll temporarily stockpile it, covering it with plastic so that it doesn't run anywhere if it rains. And then once we have all that material excavated, we'll haul it to a landfill. There's certain landfills that will accept contaminated soils. And after that, later in the process, like we're working on County Road 2 right now, is we submit a final report to the MPCA, and then we submit to the Petro Fund for reimbursement. So it's some of your gas tax dollars go towards this fund to help clean up leak sites. So that's what we're anticipating on it, the process for it. Either way, once we encounter it, we have to do we're obligated to do something with it. So that's where we have to bring it to a landfill and we change our pipe materials because it makes good sense to protect the public, to put the best material we can that's not going to be, that the contaminants aren't going to degrade.
Is it more on Main Street than it was on Red River, or the contamination, you guys think, or?
It might be a little bigger area. We tried to do some potholing to find the extents of it. Mm-hmm. Really what's going to determine is when we start digging in there, and once we get out of it, great, but when we're in it, we're going to have to deal with it. So we tried to estimate a little big, just to have a little conservative number on what it's going to take, but it's maybe a similar area, maybe a little bigger. It's most of the intersection at 2nd and Main.
All right.
So something unexpected, but nothing we haven't dealt with before. And
wasn't really unexpected, is it, or?
We knew that there would likely be some
Yeah.
through the project, and that's why we were out ahead of it when they were doing their dewatering, because they're drilling those, that's the pipes that are laying out there now. There's actual well points down there that are pulling down the groundwater table so they can put the pipe in. It's a real good indicator because they're drilling along the length of the project, so,
20 feet deep.
yep. Otherwise, we have, the removals are done. As you've probably seen, there's no more pavement, there's no more sidewalk. We have mats out there, we have some gravel, trying to get access to businesses. We've been working very closely with all the businesses down there. We've sent out a newsletter already before the project started to kind of tell them a little bit what to expect, get some contact information, and so they've all been in contact with us, and so any issues, we work through it. We're putting in temporary water, so we can shut off the water mains, put in the new water mains. So that's kind of the steps right now, or get the sewer and water in.
All right. Anything for Brian? You got anything else?
Not really.
That's it. Doug?
Question, what is actually left down by the businesses down there? What are they gonna do with the ground down there yet? Is there fencing going up or?
Oh, on by the two gas stations?
Last year's construction.
So we're waiting, that fencing should be coming any week here. It was, a couple weeks ago, it was out for galvanizing. Should be close to be getting painted and should be coming out, I'd say, any week. So there's gonna be fencing going in there, and we've waited on the plantings until the fencing is in, because we didn't want the fence guys trampling over the plants. So that's what's going in down there. And then I expect that I talked to Knife River, they expect probably middle of June is when the wear course pavement will go down.
Okay, as far as the fencing, and I can understand the wear course, but the fencing and the planting and stuff, I mean, when the contract was last year, is that something that was supposed to have been done last fall, or is it something that's?
It was something we were working towards last fall. We ended up taking more time to go through the shop drawings on the fencing to make sure that we got exactly what we wanted. And that's what ended up pushing it in towards, they were gonna probably come in winter. And at that point, we said it doesn't make a lot of sense to come in the middle of winter and put this in, so we'll do it first thing in the spring.
Okay. Just frustrating yet that's not getting done in something so simple that it could have been done last year. Along with, last summer there was a lot of people that contacted me about that whole project. It was
One of the
like
difficulties.
to get it done.
That, I agree. One of the difficulties of the fencing is they had to get the footings in first. So we had to have everything else so they could dig the footings in. Because then they custom measure the distance between the footings so that they know the fence is gonna fit. And they basically custom build it for how they put the footings in.
Each section.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So that kind of slowed some things down. I understand the frustration though.
That's all I have.
We've been waiting for the fencing too.
I didn't have to ask this time.
I got one other, with flushing hydrants, we're hauling sludge right now, so we're planning on waiting until school lets out, June 1st. So another month, and then we're gonna do a full exercise of the valves and stuff. We will put something in the record, and we'll notify all the businesses that are impacted by it, before we do it. But I just wanna let everybody know that it's gonna be roughly the day after school goes out, so.
All right. That's it? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City Administrator Report.
There's actually things, one that's on there. My 1 year is up at the next council meeting on May 9th. And so I was just gonna say, if you want to do the review that night, how much time do you want? Send you the form so you can each do your own evaluation, and then we'll have a closed session that evening at the end of the, for the review. And so I'm just wondering how soon you want it. Do you want it tomorrow? Do you want it next week so it doesn't get lost in your emails? Or would you like a paper copy mailed to you? I'm just wondering what's your preferred preference.
Next week?
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah. Next week's fine.
Email Tuesday?
Email.
Give you a week to get it done?
Yeah.
Okay. I can do that.
Well, it's not too long.
And I, just so you know, I have 2.5 of the 4 that I have to do written. I haven't had the meeting yet, but I hope to have those done next week, so they'll be done for those 4 employees until then. I'm close to getting all of Jason's documentation, so we can move forward with that resolution, hopefully have that on May 9th. And I got an email from Jody at the Highway Department saying that County Road 158 is planned for the 2019, for the road, the 5-year road plan that is scheduled also on May 9th at 7, so no one from here could go. We'd all be here. And she said that that they were likely going to resurface all the way to Red River. They usually stop at 14th, but at this point, their plan is to resurface all the way to Red River. So right here at the corner. And if we have any comments or questions that we'd like shared with the county board, just get them to me and I can get them to her. She'll send me an update probably before the next meeting on what the plan is.
2 years from now that they're gonna do that.
Yep,
Okay.
that is on their plan for 2019.
You know, I think with that too, we might wanna look at some of the pipe work in their ground as long as they're doing that. We need to talk about it anyway, you know. Some of it could be 50 years old. If they're gonna be something that was put on the radar to look at.
When was that done last? Remember?
Well, I know Brian said there's some storm piping that was from 1951.
There's some storm sticks out as some of that's in the 60s, and I think some of the sewer and water is quite a bit older from what I've seen, or around that era. Much older than that, we really don't have drawings on it. I don't know the last time they paved it.
We'll put something together and figure out what it all is and
Yeah.
details, and we'll go from there, but.
All right. Alrighty,
Other than that, that's all I have.
that's all you got? Well, list of bills and additions. Recommendation to review and accept payment of the accounts payable according to the list of and supplemental list presented by city staff. I need a motion to pay the bills.
All motion to pay the bills.
Doug makes a motion, second by
Second that.
Shannon seconds it. Any discussion on the bills? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Board and commission updates. Planning commission, what did we talk about? Historic preservation is one of the things that we talked about.
We passed the resolution, I'm editing it.
We got it. There was a resolution that, about forming a committee for the historical, it wasn't historical, no, Heritage Commission. It's basically a historical commission for the city of Cold Spring. Basically if somebody wants to do something with their place of business or their house, that they have some place to go to talk, find out if there's anything out there for grants or anything like that to yet. So we're drafting something right now. She's got it, Bridget's got it, and she's revising it, and then we're gonna go through it again the next meeting. So that's gonna be coming up pretty.
It'll be here on May 9th.
It'll be here on May 9th?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So it'll be here on May 9th. We'll either go up or down with the recommendation from the planning commission. We didn't have a whole lot that night, did we? That was about it. But that's that. Park board?
Park board, well, we talked about a few things. One was a gentleman, I forget his name, but he was here on the basketball court up at by the tennis court, the old tennis courts. There was some big cracks in there, and Ron made the comment that they're gonna fill those cracks this summer. They tried with some rubber and it just didn't work, so they're gonna go back in there and redo it. Then they talked about applying for a grant through the Rocori Community Foundation for connection from Frogtown to the, from connection from the Rocori Trail to 7th Avenue. But no, I think, John, you guys looked and it seems like it's too steep, right?
Yeah, I would have to zigzag pretty heavy to meet the handicap accessibility.
So I think Bridget now mentioned in the email that she's gonna apply for the Promenade connection now, maybe, so. And then we normally meet every 3 months and we're gonna meet every 2 months now.
Okay.
So that was all I had. I don't know, did I miss anything?
Anything new on the splash pad?
Yeah, I just got the end of the splash pad meeting because it was at the same time as the park board, and they were going to go back to the Cold Spring about the Granite Landing property, and then they're still in some talks of possibly, still having it at Pioneer Park. They're gonna get a committee together that's gonna go around to kind of do some fundraising now. What was the other big items that they talked about at the end? Like I said, I missed most of it because it was at the same time, but I think that's pretty much. They were gonna meet with a gentleman that has built splash pad pads.
Oh, okay.
And I think he built the one in Wake Park, if I'm not mistaken, and kind of get some rough ideas on cost, and I guess there's 2 different ways of, you can either recycle the water or just fresh water, and they're gonna get the cost for both of them, and hopefully have some of that at our next meeting.
Okay.
That was
All
it.
right. EDA.
I guess I could report on that.
Thanks, I wasn't there.
That's right. Jamie, would you care to report? We reviewed and updated the 1- and 5-year plans, so those are up to speed for the coming year. We discussed the revolving loan fund that the EDA has, just had some little discussion about that, where it's at, and just want to make sure that businesses know that that is available to them if they'd like to set up some time to meet with us. We talked about the apartment complex that Gary Stang and his folks are going to be building, and the TIF went through that a little bit, so everybody on the EDA is familiar with how that's going to work. We talked about the parking study that's been happening, downtown parking, and we had one spot in mind specifically, and now we have 2. So that's going to continue on a little bit until we kind of sort things out and are able to make a recommendation to the mayor and the council. We've had some citizens contact us with concerns about blighted properties in the community, and Bridget has offered to take a look at the city ordinances, regulations, and enforcement policies that we have in place, and I believe also talk with the city attorney. And our goal is hopefully to come up with a good plan so that it can be presented to the mayor and council for hopeful approval, so that the city then does have ordinances and plans in place to allow the city to contact folks whose properties are not in the best of condition and request that they do some things to bring those up to speed. And Bridget mentioned that Auto Parts is going to begin construction shortly, which is a good thing. And that was about it.
All right. How about the Rocori Trail Construction Board?
Did you care to do that?
We're at the stage where they are taking up all the tracks, getting the 1.3 miles from County Road 139 in Rockville, heading west towards Cold Spring. That's the easier of the remaining sections. And that's phase 2, that's getting leveled. You've probably seen it when you're driving on 23, and that should be paved this summer and up and running. They're hoping to get it done for use this year. The park, or the construction board, did get a TAP grant, so they are getting $750,000 out of the legacy money. They won it this year. They Last year, we got a lot of recommendations as what needed to be improved. We had to own the trail, which can, the whole corridor, which is now owned by the Quarry Trail Board. And some of the design stuff and some of the right-of-way issues had to be cleared up, and those were done. And so all the things that kept the grant or the application last year from being awarded were cleaned up and got it this year. So they already have on the shelf waiting to go to the designs and what's necessary for phase 3, which will be that hard part between Keeses all the way over to Old 23, by Jerry Tiplett and, you know, that area down by the river. That's gonna need a lot of permits for wetland, it's gonna need a lot of MPCA, DNR approvals. And so the design's all ready to go, and once all the money's up and ready, we'll be able to go. So it's about, I think the number on that phase is 2.1, and we have the 750. So there's still more to get, but
What's the time frame on that, do you know?
there
They
is
don't-
one. That tap
there's
was the
none?
2021 tap, I think that's out. Tap grant, so it has to start by 2021, so we have some time. They're about 5 years out, your grants, so.
Okay. And that would be it for that. Number 14, general questions and comments from city council. Jamie Knapp.
Nothing from
Doug Schmitz.
Nothing.
Shannon.
Good.
Gary. Me either. Then we go on to number 15, motion for adjournment.
I'll make the motion.
Doug makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on that? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Another meeting done.